Further discussion, Representative Marsh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the bill.
To the bill.
Colleagues, I voted in support of this legislation in committee because, given the current property tax morass, this bill is a logical response, and an adjustment to the formula used to compute maximum assessed value that could benefit a couple of cities. This morning, I'm going to vote yes again, but under protest, and I want to explain why, with just a little bit more detail of some of the issues already brought up by the bill's carrier. In 1990, with the passage of Measure 5, Oregonians initiated property tax reform. Over the past 25 years, we have created a tax system that is grossly inequitable, clearly inadequate, and exceedingly complicated. Property tax remains the only significant source of revenue available to local governments to pay for basic public services, including cops, firefighters, and libraries. And yet, as a result of a decision made 20 years ago, permanent taxing rates are frozen in time and vary wildly, from $0 to over $10 per $1,000 in assessed value. Those numbers have nothing to do with today's need, voter choice, or current conditions, but they create tremendous constraints for the local entities that are struggling to respond to community need. Further, compression often inhibits the collection of even voter-approved taxes. In fiscal year 2014-15, 147 cities, 60% of total, experienced some compression. In fiscal year 2015-16, compression reduced total tax receipts by $156 million. And then there are the deep and abiding inequities created among homeowners. As a result of assessed values set in stone several decades ago, neighbors on adjacent blocks or in comparable neighborhoods pay wildly differing property tax bills. Assessed value, originally set at 90% of real market value, has plummeted in some jurisdictions to as little as 40% of market value, affecting home values and creating deep and abiding differences between neighbors. And imagine administering a property tax system that requires calculations of real market values, assessed values, and centrally assessed values, with multiple property classes, overlapping taxing districts, local option taxes, exemptions, special assessments, and compression. The complexity is simply overwhelming. House Bill 2088A proposes to pull a few more pennies out of a property tax system that is fundamentally flawed. It's a perfectly reasonable response, given the circumstances. But please note that this bill is the proverbial rearranging of the deck chairs. Sooner, I hope, rather than later, we are going to have to confront the fact that the property tax ship underneath those deck chairs is sinking. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.